Hey, Internet friends, I hope you're doing well. Today I'm coming to you with another interesting SAS article, or as interesting as SAS videos and articles can be. And today's entry is about the SAS library, or the concept of SAS libraries for that matter. So I'm going to demonstrate how SAS libraries function and why you should use them. So typically, if you're operating within SAS just natively without assigning a library, you're going to be working within the work library. Now, it's easy to work within the work library. Right here, I have some code which utilizes the work library and the data set within it, which is our old set. So we'll take a quick look at that right here. So this is our old set. And if we were to run this code right here, with the data step, we would create a copy of the old set named newset, and it would exist within the work library. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so as you can see, we've created the new set from the old set. And this might not be new information to any of you, but let me explain why we're doing this particular step here. The reason I wanted to demonstrate this to you, and it says it right here in the SAS log, that this SAS session is using a registry and work, and all changes will be lost at the end of the session. Meaning that when this session ends, when we close out of SAS, when we exit out of SAS, we're going to lose both the old set and the new set. So if we went through all the difficulty of importing the data from old set as a data frame and then copied it within the library work as a new set, once we close out of here, we're going to lose both this and any other work that we did within the work library. That's just the nature of the work library. So this can be avoided by assigning our own library that we're going to be working in, which will be permanent. So any work that we do within that library will be saved, so we can then access the data after the SAS session ends. And when we begin a new SAS session, we'll be able to access and utilize that data again. So here is the two ways that you can assign a SAS library. First, I'm going to show you the easy way to do it, which you really should not utilize. You should really only utilize the methods which I have here in the console. But I'm going to show you how to do this. Just if you're a completionist, you'll be able to understand the multiple ways of accomplishing this task. So let's get out of here. Let's go back to our, let's go back to our Explorer. Okay, so as you can see here, we have the work library, which is native whenever we begin a new SAS session. So let's create our own new library, which will be permanent, where our data will be stored and which we can access after the session ends if we so desire. So we're going to right-click and go to New. And right here, this is where we would create our library name. And then through here, we would browse our system and find which file we would like to have on our system, which will contain the files of our library. So if we have data which already exists, data frame data which already exists that we want to utilize, we could have that saved natively. So this could be your desktop. This could be a file that you create on your desktop called SAS work or something like that, or SAS, SAS work or something of similar nature. You can name it whatever, the folder on your desktop or wherever it may be, whatever you'd like, but you're limited as to what you can actually name the library when it's assigned in SAS. So this folder on the path could be whatever you'd like it to be. You could name it A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You could name it any number of numbers or characters or however you'd like, but you're limited as to what you can actually utilize for the name of the library as it exists within the SAS Explorer and throughout your SAS session. So this is the one way to do it. You would just enter the name there, choose your path there, click OK, and assuming that you chose an appropriate path and chose an appropriate name, you would be able to then proceed. So let's get out of there. Now let's do the same thing. Let's establish a library, except this time we're going to do it through the utilization of code. So this is how you would do that. So we're going to call our library. In this case, we're going to name it test, and our directory that we're going to utilize, which will contain our SAS data that we're going to be utilizing and modifying perhaps, is going to be C users. So let's go ahead and run this code here. So libname, all right, this is going to exist regardless as to what you call your library. You always have to begin it with libname, then the name of your library, and then in quotations, the pathway, and then semicolon. So let's go ahead and run this code. So as you can see, it's successfully executed right here. Okay, so there are certain limitations, as I mentioned previously, as to what you can name your library within the SAS session. And here are the limitations. You can have 8 characters. The first character must be a letter or an underscore. Okay, letters, obviously, you know, underscore is this right here. So it's this. Okay. And the remaining character can be any length of characters or numerals. So after you've established the first character as being a letter or an underscore, the remaining characters can be any length of characters or numerals, 0 through 9, but they have to be 8 in total. So 8 characters in total, right? But it can begin with either an uppercase or lowercase letter or an underscore. So here are some legal and illegal assignments for SAS libraries. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of our test library here. Let's delete that. And so this is appropriate right here. Or this is, excuse me, inappropriate because again, it's beginning with a number. It cannot begin with a number. So there's an error that was displayed in our log. But if we begin our library with a letter, in this case with an uppercase letter, it's appropriate. In this case, we're creating a library with a lowercase letter, also appropriate. In this case, we're beginning our library with a underscore, also appropriate. In this case, it begins with an underscore and it ends with an underscore, also appropriate. Now, let's recreate our test library by running this code right here. And again, we're saying libname, reference of the library, and then directory in which we're referencing within quotes, ending with a semicolon. And let's go ahead and play around with some data. So in our work library, we have oldset and newset, but let's take oldset out of here. We're going to click it to highlight it. And then we're going to right click it and go to copy. And then going to go back and go to our test library. And I'm going to paste. Uh-oh. Don't apparently have appropriate authorization for test, which is odd. It might be because the account which I'm utilizing is a corporate account, which means that I'm, have certain privileges which are revoked given my user access. However, if I did not have that restriction, I would be able to then just paste the data right here, and we'd be able to then work with it within our test library. And any of the modifications we make will then remain in place. So in this case, assuming the data did come over, if we had oldset there, we could then make a copy of it and call it newset, and we'd have both oldset and newset. And when we exit, we would then be able to then go to our user library or our user directory, and we'd be able to have access to that data. So then if we wanted to begin our SAS session again, we could then reassign the library with the beginning of each session and access that data. And right here, you see I have test.newset, test.oldset. And what that is when you're working in a library which is not the work library, you have to put the name of the library, dot, and then the data which you're working with. So in this case, if we're working in the test library, we're utilizing test.oldset. the set name, and then we're creating test dot the set name. That'll allow us to work within this library. If our library was named, I don't know, light or something, we would have data light.newset set light.oldset. And if we were just working in the work library, this would be unnecessary completely. And so again, that allows us to then work in a way in which our data can be accessed, utilized, and permanently modified between SAS sessions. So let me just go back real quick, and then we're going to end this video because it's already gone a bit too far. Let's just get rid of the test library. And let's say you're going in completely clean. You're coming in completely clean to an entirely new SAS session. So none of this is here. All of this is gone. But you still want to work with the data which you were working with previously. What you would do in that case is every time you begin a new SAS session, you would want to assign the library which you were working with previously. And in that way, if you did such, you would then be able to then access the data that you were working with before. So again, if I had access to this and we were working with the data and we left and came back, we would then go into our test library and we would find our data here. So that's all for today. Sorry about the restriction requirement. I wasn't sure, what access I was going to have on this machine. But in any case, if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing, maybe leave a comment, help your friends out on the bottom if they have questions, if they have comments. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for joining. Take care.